Dad, wake up! Taryl, wake up!
What is it?
There's a bear! Look below you!
Oh, bear. Get out of here, bear! Get out of here! Oh, that's it. Game on, bear. I'm coming down.
Get him, Paul! Yeah! Yeah!
Take that, bear! Get out of here! Get out of here, bear! Get out of here! Don't come back! Unless you got beer. All right, back to hunting. I hope I didn't scare them off.
All right, great job, Dad. Wait, hold on. I think I hear something coming. I think it's one of them. You hear that? You hear that? Here comes that! Shoot it! Shoot it!
He's coming your way!
All right, Paul, I'll get him! I'll get him! Here he comes!
Junior!
Yeah! Yeah! Where's he at, Paul? He's got to be somewhere.
He's got to be somewhere around here. Hold on there. Looky here. Looky here. Follow this trail. He's got to be close. Looky here. Oh, yeah. Looky here. He's leaking pretty good. Oh, yeah. He's real close. He should probably be up this trail away. Let's keep looking. He ain't dead yet.
Put him on his scissors, Paul.
Let me put another arrow in him.
Finish him off, Paul.
All right. See you in lawnmower hell.
Oh, that's real great, Paul. It still ain't dead yet, and that was the last arrow. Now what do we do?
Good thing I brought this.
Whoa, Dirty Harry, I think he's dead.
I gotta get me some of the nectar of the deer. Yeah, you want some?
No, I'm good, Paul. Yeah, that's more for you.
Yeah. We got us a deer. Hope you enjoyed our hunting video. Me and Junior went out and got us a deer this morning. Everybody gotta eat, and we're eating deer. All right, today's how-to video is gonna be on disassembling and assembling Briggs Stratton starters and what to look for in case you think there's something wrong with your starter and you want to take it apart. So you can take it apart and then I'll show you how to put it back together. All right, before you take this apart, before you take those two screws out, first thing you're going to want to do is get a paint pen or some kind of marking device, and I'm going to mark this right here where these two pieces go together. So that way when I go to put this together, I make sure everything's going to line up the same way, because if you don't, your stud for your wire might end up over here, and that's not where you want it. You want it back over here where it was when you started. So just make a little mark before you go taking these screws out. First thing is, you're going to take off these two screws on the bottom here. That's the only thing that holds these starters all together, whether it's this starter or if it's this starter for the opposed. Now the main problem with the opposed starter, you know what an opposed engine is? That's that twin cylinder Briggs where the pistons are on the side, the old flathead twin cylinder. Problem with these starters is that top bushing. That bushing wears out. And what it costs to replace this cap is like $35 or $40 because you can't buy just the bushing. I wish I had a repair for a bushing, or I could find a bushing that would fit in there. I'd fix that starter. So that's all you do. Take these two screws out and then the starter comes apart. So the first thing that's going to happen is the end cap with the brushes are all going to pop out. And then you're going to be like, well, how am I going to get that cap back on with them brushes sticking out? I don't have 4 hands to hold them springs in there. So this is when you buy a new end cap from Briggs Stratton. This is how it comes. See, it's got these little keepers that hold the brushes in place for you. So when you go to install it, it's like holding it for you. So what I do is when I do those, I keep a set of those. These are tools. See, another tricky tool. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you what the measurements are, because you could probably make these out of a piece of wire, heavy wire. So 1.25 inches across the top is where you're going to bend it. And then this leg here is 1 inch. And then they got a little bit of a curve bent on the edge. Unless you can find a set of them. So, I already got this starter apart. And I'm going to show you. Looky here, looky here. See, that's all discolored and all purple. This starter got hot, so this starter's junk. So if you take yours apart and it looks like this, it got hot and it's all burnt. I'm going to show you what a good one looks like. See the difference in these armatures? See how this wire is all like a bright yellow? And this is dark. So if your wires are dark like that, that armature got hot and it's burned up. Your wires should look like this. Now, you take your starter apart and it looks like this, and you're thinking, well, I thought it was the starter. You might have to have your valve set. A lot of people think their mower, it's the starter, it's the battery, and when it is the valves need to be set. So if you've taken your starter apart, you may not have any problem with your starter. You might have your sloppy valves and it ain't kicking the compression release to crank the motor over. So you need to check that. So now you got your starter apart and it may be good. Now you got to put it back together. And that's where these little tools come in. And I'm going to show you how to use them and put it all back together. Then we're going to talk about these starter Bendixes. Another thing you want to check is your magnets. I've seen where water had gotten in these starters and froze and broke these magnets. You might have broken magnets. So you want to check your magnets. They're just glued inside there, so you're going to want to check, make sure they're not broken or damaged. That's another thing to inspect. And a lot of times, like me, if I have 4 or 5 starters, I might be able to build me one good starter out of 4 or 5. Or maybe your local lawnmower shop guy will sell you a used starter and you might be able to make a starter out of a couple of them. Or maybe you got some engines laying around. Alright, now we're going to check these end caps here. Now this is the one out of that bad starter that was overheated. Now look at the color of the wires. They're like all gray and everything because they got hot. See how these are all copper colored? That's how they should be. So you want to inspect all that. This is all dirty. You know, you want to blow everything out too. And another thing you can do is you can take a piece of sandpaper on here where the brushes contact and you can clean that up before you put it back together. Make it all nice and shiny. And then take your air blower and blow everything off real nice and pretty and put a little bit of oil or some real light grease on these end bearings here so it don't make that grinding noise. Alright, I'm going to do 2 of these brushes at a time. I'm going to hold them back and I got to flip it over, and that's where this tool comes in. See how it just fits in there? Push it down. Now it's holding on those 2 brushes. Then we'll put our springs in the other side And then we'll do the same thing, and then this will hold the other side. All right, now we're going to do the other two. Putting the brush in with the spring. Sliding it back. Hold them with your fingers. Flip it over. Now you stick the other one in there. These are handy brush tools. There. Now those brushes are all held back. Alright, so all that's good. We got that back together. We got this all cleaned up. Everything looks good. Our magnets are good. Now we're going to slide this back on. And we're going to find that mark we made with the paint pen. So we can line that up. And then we're going to go ahead and take our brushes and put that back on. You're going to want to put a little bit of oil or grease on there. Now a lot of times they have a little washer on the end here too, so you want to make sure, you know, you got your washers on there. Be aware of that. So now I know that notch is going to line up with this. So we got to find it. And then as you push this cap on, holding everything together tight, it's going to push those little tools out. And then you just pull them out. Then you put your screws in. Now everything's lined up because you got it all lined up because you put that mark on there when we started. And then just tighten these up. And then we'll test it. Alright, we got it all back together. Now I'm going to talk about the Bendixes before we go and test it. Now they have two different kits. Well, these are the most popular kits, I should say. They have more than two. But this is the one that's got the roll pin in it. And then they even have them where it's got a clip that you clip on there. And then they have a plastic gear and a steel gear. And the difference is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 teeth. And the metal one's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 teeth. So there's a 2-tooth difference. So if you got a starter with a plastic gear, you got to put a starter with a plastic gear. Metal gear, metal gear. Otherwise it ain't going to mesh right. Now what's nice about these kits is a metal gear and a plastic gear will interchange. So say you got a starter, a good used starter with a plastic gear and your mower's got a metal gear, well you could swap them out. They're interchangeable. And Rotary has this gear a lot cheaper than Briggs. And there's the Rotary number right there. Because from Briggs, this metal one's expensive. This plastic one's about $5. And it goes on one way. See how it's curved? The teeth are curved. You don't want to put it on upside down. You want to put it on like this. That's how it goes on the top. Same with this one. See how it's a little beveled? That's so it meshes with the teeth like it's supposed to. It goes like these. This is how they go on. Like this. Now you can buy a kit because sometimes this part gets wore too. So you may put a new gear on and the gear may not last because this part's wore. So a lot of times it's better to buy the whole kit. Just make sure you got the right kit. And I'm going to show you the difference between the two kits. Okay, these are the two most popular kits that Briggs sells for their starters. And they both have the plastic gear. The one with the metal gear is real expensive. But like I said before, you can buy one of these kits and then just put a metal gear on it. But here are the two most popular ones. It comes with an instruction sheet. Here's this one with the roll pin. And this is everything you get. It's about $25 for this kit. And then here's the other kit. For the other one that uses that crimp ring, which is in this bag. And a spring washer, and the spring washer always goes up. The curved part goes up. And then here's the order it goes into in the instructions. This one you just have to drive the pin out. Alright, I'm going to show you how to remove this Bendix the one that's got the roll pin. Now, Craftsman makes a nice set of these roll pin punches. See how the punch has got a little tit on the end of it that fits into the hole of the roll pin. Now, the best way to do this, remove this, is with a vise. And now you may need somebody to help you. And in this case, Mr. Cameraman's going to help me, because somebody's got to hold that. See how we got the vise open? We want to support this when we're beating on it. Drive that pin out, then this whole top part comes off. Then you can slide this off. Clean that up, and then you may want to oil that bushing on the top. I like using this fluid film because it's lanolin based, it has no solvents in it, so it don't dissipate. It's long lasting, it's non-toxic, it's non-hazardous. They've been around since 1943. I like this stuff. So you want to spray some, you know, clean this all up. And then you can lube this upper bushing. And then put either your new gear on. You know, you're going to want to inspect this. Or if you bought the whole kit, put the whole kit on. And I'm going to show you how to do that. It's very important on this one that you follow the order that you put this together. So you put this on first until it slides down. Put your gear on. Make sure your bevel part's right. Now this is the important part. Next, you want to put this on. Then the black cap. Then the spring. And then this thing, you just push this down inside there. Now, if you push that down inside there and you have the order wrong, when you go to pry this back out, you can't buy just this part. You got to buy a whole nother kit. So make sure you got this in the right order before you go pushing that back down in there. I'm not going to waste this kit on this video. All right, now you got it all back together. You're going to use the vise again to support it. And then you're going to get your pin lined up. You're going to knock that back in, and then again use this roll pin punch so you can knock it down a little bit. And see what that spring does up above is that helps to kick this back down once it starts. Now that's all there is to it on this type of Bendix repair. Alright, now for this kit, you got this ring. Now Briggs makes a special tool, which you're probably not going to buy to replace one starter gear. That removes that ring. And then this is the tool they also sell separate to put the ring back on. But if you don't have them tools, you're just going to use screwdrivers and pliers and stuff. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get a socket that fits, that's bigger than this, and you're going to put that over the top. And then you're going to take a hammer and you're just going to kind of tap that to free that up. So now we got that loose by tapping on it. You got to get a little screwdriver and you got to get under that ring. This is hard to do when you don't have the right tool. And try to pry that ring off of there. And don't lose it if you're going to use it over, if you're just replacing the gear. Now I got a pair of side cutters that help me get it off. Now usually this thing sticks too, and you have a hard time getting this off. Because now there's a burr on there. See? That's a little tricky to get this off. Alright, now I got it off. Now remember what I said about that spring washer. There it is. But I usually put that spring washer on like this with the curve up. Now you can pull this whole assembly off. Same thing, clean it, oil it. The only difference is now before you put this back together, you're going to take a file and you're going to file this because there's that lip on there, so when you put it together, it goes back together easier. Now, this is where that tool comes in, where you whack that with a hammer and seat that. But if you don't have that tool, you might be able to use a deep well socket. That's about the size of that ring. This is a 3/8 deep well 1/4 inch drive socket. At least you can get it started. And then you can press it down the rest of the way with a hammer. And then make sure that ring locks down into that cap. You may have to squeeze it a little with some pliers. But at least with that spring washer, you can push that down. And that's all there is to it for that, for putting those Bendixes on. Now we're going to test that starter we took apart and put back together. All right, we got the starter all back together, and I'm going to test it just using a battery. And I got a jumper wire. So I'm going to touch this part of the starter, the negative, to ground, and then I'm going to touch the positive to this post, and then we're just going to watch it. Woo! See, it's working. Ain't making no noise, no rattling, graveling noise. And that's all there is to it. And there's your dinner on fixing these electric starters from Briggs. Now me and Junior are going to go get our dinner. Some John Deere deer steaks.